All right, hey there. Welcome to Season 4, Episode 23, also known as Episode 134 of the Retro Game Club podcast. This is Hugh, and joining me is someone still waiting for his analog pocket, Rob.
Yeah, weeks ago, I got the Your Pocket's about to ship, and nothing. No, there's no place to really email on Analog's site, so I don't know what to do there. I'm too busy for it anyway, so it's like I'm kind of glad it's delayed. But you got yours, right?
I did, yeah. The first thing I played on it was, you can laugh, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Fall of the Foot Clan.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, which is one of the most simple games you can ever play.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And mostly because I wanted to hear how the music sounded on this thing. Because that's a game where I know the music really well.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles music, so of course you know it. And I just thought it'd be a good game to test the system out with. And yeah, it's pretty good. And I think for my next Game Club pick, I'm going to pick a game that I also just started on it a couple days ago.
How do you think about the... I have two questions. First question, How do you think it does like the murky Game Boy screen emulation?
Looks pretty good. It's brighter than an original Game Boy, of course.
Mm-hmm.
It's super bright. You can probably change that setting. I haven't really played with the settings yet.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like an authentic Game Boy screen because you can see it really well.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't need the worm light or whatever.
Yeah. The Super Light Boy 3000. All those weird accessories that you have to buy back in the day. And then you, it's the picture's good. The music's good. Controls are all right. The buttons aren't labeled, so I sometimes forget which one I'm using. The shoulder buttons are in kind of an odd spot, but so far I haven't played any games that need the shoulder buttons.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a big deal. I haven't tried Game Boy Advance on it yet. Just because the things I wanted to play were like I haven't really had a functional Game Boy in a while, and Game Boy Player is okay. It's just the GameCube controller is awful for action games. I have a Super Game Boy, so I guess I could have been playing them on Super Game Boy this whole time too, using a Super Nintendo controller. I just figured I'd wait till there was a good Game Boy emulator. I'm sure I could have gotten something off Alibaba that worked too, but no, I'm pretty happy with it so far. It's the screen is bigger than I expected, and the system is heavier than I expected.
It feels sturdy. Feels like it's well made.
Yeah, it feels like a brick.
Did you install any cores on it?
No, I'm probably not going to. Just whatever's on it. I ordered a Game Gear adapter, which same thing. I've never gotten a shipping update on it. I don't know. Did they make it yet? Did I pre-order it? I have no idea what I actually bought.
Well, did you mess around with the OS at all? Like, it's supposed to like say stuff about the games you play, maybe like history or whatever.
Yeah, it's just, all I saw was real basic information, title kind of stuff. I didn't really drill into it.
You're not social networking on it.
No, and I don't need like Wikipedia on my game system. I can go look at the history of the game.
Mm-hmm.
There's somewhere you can put there's a micro SD slot that you can use for maybe box art. So like when you fire up the game, you can see the box art for it.
Mm-hmm.
But
that'd be more handy if you have cores and a ton of ROMs,
Yeah, but I'm using this to play actual physical cartridges.
Yeah. You don't have a Game Boy EverDrive card, do you?
I do not. No.
Yeah.
I don't have a Game Gear EverDrive. I don't have a Lynx EverDrive, but I have a lot of Game Gear games. I can't stress how often I find Game Gear games at yard sales for $1.
Yeah, cool. Well, I'm excited to hear more. I'm excited to finally get mine someday.
Yeah. What else you got going on?
Well, geez, let's see. Other than not getting my pocket, took the family to Jurassic World Live. Have you heard of this thing?
I've heard of it. Is that like an ice skating show? I'm picturing Disney on Ice.
It's there's no ice, but it's kind of like that, where they're kind of acting along to a script that's playing over the loudspeakers, and giant dinosaurs are kind of walking around. Some are like giant RC cars that people are like laying inside and moving around with joystick, and some are like pretty much puppet costume things. I thought the funniest part, like there was a pterodactyl that swooped down and grabbed a real human being, not from the crowd, an actor, and brought him up into the rafters, and they like threw a shoe down and like some drops of blood. Like, wow, nice touch, people. But yeah, that was a good time. And then what else other than boring holiday stuff? I beat God of War Fraggle Rock, and I'm going to have to say that I started pretty rough on this game, and now this I love this game now. I truly love it. It does have a few faults, but I do think narrative-wise, storytelling-wise, in even acting in a game-wise, it might be the best ever.
Okay.
So yeah, really enjoyed that. I might go through and I don't know if I'm gonna 100% it, because there's like some really annoying things like kill all these glowing crows, and there's like hundreds of them. I don't wanna do that. That's like getting the what are they, Kakarot's in Breath of the Wild?
Yeah, the little seeds or whatever they're called.
Yeah, I don't need to do all that. Yeah, highly recommend this game. You definitely need to play the 2018 God of War beforehand. But yeah, fantastic. And since then, starting today, I'm picking up Twilight Princess again.
Okay.
Does that game start out really slow? Because right now...
does. Yeah, it's... Other than maybe Skyward Sword, it's like the slowest start of any Zelda game. It's a really long start before you feel like you're playing a Zelda game.
Yeah, okay, good. Because right now I'm just like, geez, maybe I should just watch a video.
Yeah. You start off, it's like you got to learn how to like herd goats or something.
Yeah.
Which you never comes into. It's not like it's a essential mechanic you need to use other times in the game. Like it never comes up again.
It is criminal that this game is not on the Switch. And like, I get it. Not every game needs to be backwards compatible. It's not something Nintendo owes us, but I mean, they did it on the Wii U. How much coding could it be? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Just play it in tablet mode or whatever, or pad mode, whatever they call it from the Wii U. Just make it that. Throw it on there. It's not like they spent any time on the Mario 3D collection. They just threw those in there.
Yeah, I still haven't even started that.
Yeah, it's terrible that I have to emulate this thing. I actually own it for the Wii. Yeah, the Wii, but I don't feel like plugging in my Wii. So I'm
but the Wii also has the sort of I would call it last minute duct taped motion controls.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't particularly like the Wii version of the game.
Yeah, I'm playing the HD remake.
Yeah. So HD remake, yeah. You gotta do GameCube or HD remake.
That's what I heard. Yeah, I think I started on the GameCube and then loaded up the HD remake. It's just, there's a lot of quality of life settings there. So we'll see. I'll keep you all updated. What have you been up to?
So I tried Arcade Paradise, but I didn't get very far. It gave me a panic attack, so I quit. I'll probably go back and try it later when I'm not.
Were you able to buy any arcade cabs?
Yeah, a couple. But the problem is like that watch that you have that goes off like every 5 seconds with something, or like a chat notification or an email notification. I was just like, no, I'm done. I deal with this all day. I don't want any more notifications.
Yeah.
That was my problem. It was just like, I 90% of my work day is just like, okay, I'm going to work now. Oh, wait, there's an urgent Slack message. Okay, now I'm going to work. Oh, wait, now there's this urgent. Like, and it's this kind of feel I have with the game where it's like, okay, I'm going to go play an arcade game. Oh, wait, nope, watch is going off. So I was just like, I'll try it later when I'm not feeling stressed.
One of the eBay updates you could get like halfway through the game is while you're playing the game, time stops. While you're playing an arcade cab, time stops. So you can actually enjoy it.
Oh, okay.
It's a stupid update that should just be part of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or they should have just done it like, see, you never played Retro Game Challenge, right?
No, I haven't.
It's a DS game, very, very similar concept where they're remaking some classic NES games, right? But they're now on DS, but they're all games that are clearly based off old NES games.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically they unlock a game every day. You can play them. There's goals, like you have to achieve certain goals in the game to advance the story.
Mm-hmm.
But every day it's just a new game, and there's nothing else. There's not like any other stuff in the background you have to manage.
Laundry.
Yeah, like laundry or anything. You're just a kid at home with your Nintendo. I guess it's Famicom. It's a Japanese game. And your fake Nintendo Power, which is kind of fun to read. You get like these fake issues of Nintendo Power that preview the games that are coming next month.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a really fun game. There's only like 5 games on it. But they're all pretty, it's like 5 basically NES games. There is a Dragon Warrior kind of clone on there that you do have to like beat to advance the story. But I guess they recognize that some people don't like that style of game. So there's actually like, in like one town early on, there's just like a person that if you talk to them, you win the game automatically. It was something really silly like that. Like they gave you an out where you can just win the game by talking to a person.
Nice.
So got 2 other things here. I decided I've been playing the Vice City remake a little bit, and it's really janky and buggy. Like I just kind of powered through the main story. I didn't do any of the side quests. Like when I got to the last boss, have you played all the way through Vice City? You've played the
The
last boss.
Oh yeah.
And
not in 2 decades.
Yeah, but like the last boss, I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong, and it took me a while to figure out. Until I started playing San Andreas, I figured out what was wrong. Is I like got up to the last boss and I just hit him with the flamethrower for what felt like a full minute. Okay, I mean just full minute flamethrower target, and he just didn't die. And at this point, my armor was down to 0 and my health was down to like 1%. So like I run away because there's like health in the next room. And when the scene changed to the next room, then it went to the ending credits.
Huh. Okay.
And what it is, and I think it's in San Andreas, is if you're on a mission and you are using the shoulder button to target an enemy, the enemy won't die until you stop targeting them. Because I found other enemies where you can just unload like an entire AK-47 into them. But once and they're alive, but once you stop, you stop aiming, then they fall over dead.
Okay.
I'm like, wow, that is really like that just seems to me like first day of testing, you would have reported that as an issue and fixed it.
Yeah.
But so anyhow, I switched to the San Andreas remake because this is a game I never finished.
Okay, me neither. I haven't finished that one.
And I never finished because so many of the missions are like drive halfway across the state of California, and then if you fail, you have to drive halfway across the state of California to try the mission again.
Yeah, yeah.
But they fixed it. So the San Andreas remake, as far as I can tell, the developers put all their effort into this remake because it's actually really good. So like there's a checkpoint system for these missions. So if you fail halfway through, you pick up where you left off like you would in Grand Theft Auto 5.
Mm-hmm.
I've only found a couple weird bugs like that aiming thing I talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But generally I won't say bug free, but it's not anything like Vice City. I mean, you can actually play the game and not just have like your car explode out of nowhere.
I heard they fixed the highway AI. So one of my favorite things in all those games is just to cause havoc on the roads.
Yeah.
Just, to create a traffic jam and throw one grenade, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And before, if you would do something crazy on the highway, the cars would go nuts. Mm-hmm. They would be like going into oncoming traffic, going off cliffs, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now they kind of slow down if you're in the way, I guess, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the driving's easier. You do get road rage drivers where like sometimes you'll tap someone and they'll just start chasing you down. Like that part I think is new. I don't remember that being in the original. The other weird bug I found, I'm going to post an article about all the bugs I found at some point.
Mm-hmm.
The other weird article is where the game goes into what I call oops, all cops mode, where every single car on the road is a police car. Sometimes it happens, like, I don't know what triggers it, but it's like, I think if you finish a mission with a wanted level, then like you exit the safe house, where you saved.
Yeah.
Literally, I'm not exaggerating. Every car is a cop car. on the entire world map until you start a new mission.
Part of the car algorithm is something like if you're in a car, or it has something to do if you're in a car or if you see a certain car, there's more of those types of cars around.
Yeah,
something
it only
like
loads
that.
a certain number of car models into memory, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, this is like, there are no other cars anywhere other than cop cars, which makes it hard to get to your next mission.
Yeah, so what do you do?
Yeah.
Call a cab?
Yeah. Well, you can't call a cab. There are no cabs.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's not, when I say there was nothing other than cop cars, I mean, literally there was not any other kind of car. And then last, I know like half our show is just intro, but it's fine because I didn't read any of the news or emails. So I just posted an article, my annual Christmas feature,
Mm-hmm.
and this is called Destroying a Perfectly Good Windows 98 Virtual Machine with Xmas Sampler CDs.
Nice.
This is a long feature I posted where I made a Windows 98 virtual machine to do a walkthrough for a game, realized I didn't really like the game that much. And since it's pretty easy to create a Windows 98 virtual machine, I decided I would just trash it by going on to archive.org and downloading every Xmas sampler CD I could find and installing it on here until I started getting random kernel faults.
Because it was installing so many rootkits and stuff?
No, there actually was no rootkits. It's just badly designed 90s software. Just, software that will just arbitrarily change all your icons without telling you. Or, like one of them like reassociated all like JPEG images to QuickTime, and I don't think I even had QuickTime installed. Like, just bizarre things it does. All these installers do. One of them I bailed on because it's like, oh, we need to change your autoexec.bat to include these lines, and I'm like, I can do that. But it's fun if you. We'll post a link to in the notes, and you can see screenshots of all these bizarre sampler discs from the 90s. Very few of them work. That's kind of the spoiler.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really funny. Yeah, and a lot of these look like they were just made in authorware.
Yeah, a lot of them were. Some of them, one of them I note misspells Christmas on the menu bar.
Nice.
They're just very hastily put together things. So that's about it. Do you want to talk about any of these news articles, or?
Yeah, I mean, we could power through these. There's some good stuff here.
Emulate any ISA card with a Raspberry Pi and an FPGA. I feel like you only need the FPGA to do this.
Yeah, or it's either or. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, the example they use is, so you have this ISA adapter that you can plug, one or two of those things in.
Mm-hmm.
And this person emulated a hard drive and a sound card.
Nice.
Just with that thing. Yeah. So, I mean, you could do a bunch of stuff. So you could have like some great MIDI. Like I said, a hard drive. I don't know what else you could do. I mean, it seems pretty limitless. Maybe you could have like a CD-ROM array, like make a CD-ROM changer, virtualized. I don't know. But yeah, I really want to try something like this out. But
yeah, good luck getting a Raspberry Pi right now, though.
Yeah. I've boxes of them, I think. I just don't have any Raspberry Pi Zeros, which I think they recommend.
Yeah, I mean, that was something I think COVID. I think a lot of people decided to get into Raspberry Pi during COVID, and they are just sold out everywhere. And it's just resellers selling you a $5 Raspberry Pi Zero for $100 now.
I also think, and this is obviously not a joke, I do think that a lot of the parts were made in the Ukraine or something like that. So that hasn't helped.
So supply chain could be a problem too.
Yeah. Let's see. Next one, just a quick one. If you're a fan of Road Rash on the SegaCD on romhacking.net, there's a pretty big update that adds a 6-button controller for using the Nitro button, and also it drastically fixes the frame rate. So pretty cool there.
Yeah, have you played Road Rash? I think we did it. Did we do it as a game clip pick a while ago?
Yeah, but I can't even remember. Yeah.
It's super choppy on Sega CD.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, the FMV is great though, right?
Yeah. So I think I added this next one, the annual Amiga Game Jam 2022. I just noted it now. It actually started like a week or two ago, but it runs until April 30th. The theme this year is sword and sorcery. So your game has to fit that theme somehow. I don't think that means it has to be an RPG. I think you could easily do, a gauntlet style game or whatever, as long as it fits the sword and sorcery theme.
Yeah, I'm excited to see all that stuff.
Yeah, the main site, like a lot of the stuff, because it's Amiga, a lot of the sites and information about it are in German, but there's also English copies too, so you can get by.
Yeah. Next one was all over a bunch of other podcasts already, since we haven't recorded in a while, so won't dive too deep into it. But a modder pretty much created Star Fox 3. I guess it's just insanely great. Like, it's probably the best Star Fox game. Many new levels, many quality of life things, and great frame rates. So definitely check that out. I'm sure you've heard other people already talk about this, but yeah, it's even multiplayer. More hacking stuff. Some devs created a port of Darkstalkers on the Genesis, which it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, there was they did Street Fighter Alpha on Genesis, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the same. Darkstalkers and Street Fighter Alpha, I think, are
CPS2
game engine, aren't they?
Yeah, they're dual 68,000.
Yeah, they're what I mean is I think they're the same game. Like, I think they're built in the same game.
Oh,
engine,
okay.
Very similar ones.
Mm-hmm.
So I always thought Street Fighter Alpha and Darkstalkers kind of played the same.
Yeah, I mean, they even look the same. The animations do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this looks pretty good. Considering the closest system that had it was a Saturn.
Saturn, yeah. I have it on PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
Darkstalkers, that's a game I always try to get back into. I like it because it's mechanically a lot like Street Fighter 2. I just always find an excuse not to play it whenever Halloween rolls around.
Yeah, I actually have it in a cabinet. And I actually used to have a full dedicated cabinet, and I've never been good at this game, but I'm not very good at any fighting games.
Yeah, I'm okay at Street Fighter 2.
Like, I know the moves, but I don't know strategy,
Right.
Which it's kind of the
right
story of my life.
Mortal Kombat 2, you can be very good at Mortal Kombat 2 without doing a single special move.
Yeah, and Mortal Kombat is one I've just never gotten into. Like, when it was in the arcade, I just couldn't get into the block button. I was always a hold back for block, and I just said, this isn't for me. So one day. The next one is kind of a strange one. Someone found a Strider ROM for the Famicom. So Strider came out in the States for the NES, but I guess it was never released for the Famicom, which I don't think I knew that. So there's a prototype here for it.
What are they? Is this the original game though? So like the game that came out in the States, was not the arcade Strider, right? It was a game called Strider, but it wasn't the arcade game really. Yeah, I'm looking at the footage here. This looks like the NES version.
Exactly. Yeah, it's really strange that it never came out there, but I knew this version before I knew like the Genesis arcade style of it.
Yeah.
And I owned this one, and I love it. I think it's we'll talk about it another time for certain reasons.
We can talk about, I'll just say, I like the NES Strider better than the Genesis Strider.
Yes, same. Let's see. The next one, we'll file this under Not All Heroes Wear Capes. Every US PlayStation 2 game manual is now scanned in 4K. So, yeah, one human being did all this. It is, before compression, it's 230 gigs.
Oh, yeah, I don't have room for that.
Compressed is 17 gigs, which isn't bad because if you just leave it zipped, you could just view the zip and view the, one file you need,
Yeah, geez. So did he first have to acquire? Yeah, so I'm looking at his website, his personal site. He first had to acquire every PlayStation 2 game, or at least a cover for every PlayStation 2 game, or sorry, manual.
Yeah, he spent $40,000. over 22 years.
That actually does not sound that unreasonable.
Yeah.
I mean, I would not spend 40 grand to get a complete PlayStation 2 archive, but I'm just saying the timeline. If I said I spent 40 grand getting every PlayStation 2 game, you'd be like, man, that's a pretty big purchase. But if it's over 20 years, well, I bet a lot of people spend $2,000 a year on games. Like,
yeah.
I don't, but that doesn't strike me as an unreasonable number.
Yeah, and they have an image here of his PlayStation 2 collection. It looks awesome, other than the weight set, the weight machine right in front of it. Like, dude, couldn't you move that out of the way or something before taking this photo?
No, he's got to show off that he also works out. This would be cool to have if you wanted to move someplace with no Wi-Fi.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that is a good looking collection. Oh yeah, everyone knows that one of my all-time favorite series is the Bonk's Adventure series, and apparently there was a planned Virtual Boy Bonk game.
Yeah. Planned seems a little generous.
Yeah.
It looks more like it was a pitch.
Yeah, it was proposed.
Yeah.
And it's a strange image because it's a guy looking into a Virtual Boy and then an arrow, and it's him interacting with Bonk as if he's in a holodeck or something.
Yeah. So speaking of things on the analog, like I have the Bonk Game Boy games also. I've always wanted to play through those. Those are both imports. You can import those really cheaply. And of course, you don't need to know a lot of Japanese to play Bonk's Adventure.
Yeah. And isn't there some horrible... There was supposed to be a Nintendo 64 game, right? But it looked really bad. And then they updated Bonk's Adventure for one of the systems, and it was just horrible.
Okay. They did what was it called? It's a canceled game. There was a canceled Bonk remake where, hold on. Give me 1 second here. Bonk Brink of Extinction.
What was that?
This is a canceled game from like a few years ago. The guy who made the soundtrack released the soundtrack for free because he figured I did all this work. I might as well, put it out for the world.
It's probably better that it was canceled.
Yeah, and I think that maybe it was supposed to be a Wii game or something. And it entered like some sort of never-ending development cycle and got canceled.
Probably, yeah. I mean, I don't think there's a way to make Bonk 3D and make it good.
Bonk? Brink? Yeah, so it was planned for PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and Wii before being canceled. And then, out on Bandcamp to free download, the composer just is like, here, have the music for free. I don't care. Or are you thinking of the Bonk remake for GameCube?
Yes, definitely that. And this Wikipedia also says that Ultra Bonk, which was going to be Bonk 3D, turned into Bomberman Hero on Nintendo 64.
That game is so bad.
Yeah, it would have been even worse.
I bought Bomberman Hero, man. I actually literally purchased that game.
Yeah, Bomberman games are hit or miss. When they're great, for sure, but not that one.
Well, Bomberman as a action platformer game, no. Bomberman is a Bomberman game, yes.
And there was going to be a Bonk 4, a role-playing game.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought, are you making that up?
No, it's on Wikipedia. It's going to be called Bonk's Quest.
Yeah. That sounds bad.
Yep.
Caveman role-playing is hard to pull off. Live Alive has a caveman stage. And it's hard because there's no dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing a role-playing game, but you're assuming these characters haven't developed language yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite challenging to do that.
I could imagine, yeah.
Square Enix could, or so I guess it was just Square back in the day. They managed to pull it off, but they'd also developed like many legendary RPGs at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if someone else could do that. Yes. Now I'm thinking about Caveman games. Have you played Caveman games?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
That'll be a Game Club game sometime. I regret to say. Yeah.
Yeah. Next time we decide to do a Caveman themed episode.
Yes, exactly. But we have no topic this week. I assume next time we'll have like a holiday magazine read or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, let's find if someone has a good suggestion, send it like in the next day. Otherwise, next day that you hear this. Otherwise, we'll pick one. But yeah, we should do something holiday themed, catalog or special edition or something.
Yeah, because it's like anytime in the past we've done a Black Friday topic and then a holiday catalog read, and they kind of blend into each other.
Yeah, I was going to talk about like retro game sales going on, but I found nothing, man.
No,
nothing in physical stores, nothing in online stores. There was just nothing I thought interesting.
Yeah, Arcade Archives
sales, but there are any like retro game sales that seemed interesting to me.
Arcade Archives on Nintendo.com are cheaper now, but I mean they're still overpriced if you ask me. It's still like $5.99 for one game. That's just too much for games that old.
Right, that's what I mean. Like I saw those, and I'm like, oh, I mean, I guess I don't know. They're not a great deal. That's right.
Yeah.
If it was like all of them for $9.99, maybe I would want to talk about it.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, considering you could get every single Atari game, well, not every single, but pretty much Atari game for how much is Atari 50th anniversary? $30 now.
It went down to 30 right away. Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll have an episode about that collection, but I've been hearing people call the collection like a virtual museum where they just have so many interviews and printouts and stuff. That's what I'm excited for.
I'm looking right now at Amazon Cyber Monday deals, even though it's actually Saturday. And I don't know. Micro SD cards are cheap if somehow you don't already have a billion of them sitting in a drawer. I don't know, man. All right.
Game Club, I guess.
Yeah, some games.
So yeah, I did Arkanoid Revenge of Dough, also known as Arkanoid II. And I had this game, I actually still have it, for Atari 2 GS. So obviously this is the sequel to Arkanoid, which, surprise, Arkanoid has a plot. So
it does, yeah.
Yeah, the evil guy, Dough, the alien, returned to destroy all of Earth's colonies, I guess. And so you have to get into your little ship, which is the paddle thing, and, break some blocks, and you get some cool power-ups, like lasers, or you can catch the ball or make it multi-ball. There's now warp gates, which obviously make it a little bit easier. Yeah, a lot of people don't know also that there are bosses, or at least a boss, in Arkanoid 2. And I just want to say that this game has fantastic graphics and sound, which, no pun intended, since that's what GS stands for in Apple II GS. It was in the arcade, on the Amstrad, Atari ST, the C64, Famicom, but yeah, I played it on Apple II. And I think that's the best version. I mean, I'd probably put money on that. What else do I want to say about this game? It's probably the best breakout game, Let's see, what else do I have in my notes here? Oh yeah, speaking of the sound designer also did Bubble Bobble, Alien vs. Predator, and that Cotton reboot that came out not so long ago. He did that game Exit, which I actually own. I've heard a lot about, but I haven't played it yet. That's about... Oh, yeah. The last thing I'm going to say is that at least on the Atari 2 GS version, There's a designer, like a Mario Maker type thing, where you can make your own levels, and it even has fixes in case you make an unbeatable level. You could press some quick keys to get back to the menu, and they really went hardcore into that part of it. It is very, very impressive. Yeah, what do you think about this one or the whole series?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a copy of this on anything, and I do have the paddle controller for the NES, so I guess I could play it in that form. But I think this is a kind of rare NES game.
I think it's only Famicom for number 2.
Oh, well, that would make it extremely rare, I guess. Sorry, I get tripped up every time I see this title because it always makes me think of the Heaven's Gate. You remember Heaven's Gate?
No. Oh, like the cult? Yeah, the cult.
Not the game, not the video game Heaven's Gate. Although there probably is one. Yeah, because their leader was called Doe, if you remember that.
Oh yeah, the guy with the crazy eyes. Yeah,
the guy with the crazy eyes. Yeah,
the Nikes.
That's another like weird podcast binge I went on. There's a lot of podcasts about Heaven's Gate. I don't know why. I guess because weirdos like me will listen to it. So that always trips me up because I'm picturing that guy when I see the game title. But yeah, I mean, I was watching there's only one, like, when I go to the speedrun boards for this game, there's like one guy speedrunning it. And he did it like years ago. And I feel like someone could probably beat this. Yeah, I think there's a lot of speedrunners, a lot of people who just are looking for games that have no other speedruns.
Oh, totally. That's why so many people are playing like goofy games or, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a relatively short, it's about 40 minutes to play through the whole game. He's clearly doing it on an emulator because like the graphics are too good. Like he's using like one of those filters where it looks cartoony, I think. So, if this is a game you want to speed run, you can. But I mean, I'm really bad at these games. Even with the paddle controller, and just looking at the levels, these are really complicated. There's a lot of where, there's unbreakable bricks and you kind of have to weave the ball in between.
And then let it bounce around at top. Yeah.
Yeah. There's just a lot of that in this. So in some levels where they'll have like a wall of like unbreakable bricks along the bottom, so that even if you get like if you get something like a laser upgrade, it just doesn't help you at all.
Yep.
The first Arkanoid, I could get through most levels with that laser pretty easily. But this game, the laser just doesn't look very helpful.
Yeah.
So looks really, really hard. And then there is the boss fight where you're fighting like an Easter Island statue or something.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Yeah.
Is that what they're going for? That the Easter Island statues are? Is this like, I know Ancient Aliens, like History Channel didn't exist yet. But was that a theory even back in the 80s that those were alien?
Oh, I have no idea. No clue. But
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks all right. I mean, again, I'm not something I'm good at, but I agree. It's a good game.
Yeah, and especially the Apple II GS port. Again, it really feels like a great arcade port. But want to move on to your game?
Yeah. I picked Kaboom just because I figured if we're going to do paddle games, we might as well talk about two of them. So this, of course, is a 2600 game that virtually everybody owned. It was an Activision game. Very, very simple premise, right? There's a bad guy dropping bombs over a wall, and you're controlling their buckets of water, I guess, to catch the bombs. And each time a bomb falls, you lose a bucket of water. So it makes it a little bit more challenging to catch. The buckets are stacked vertically, though. So if they're stacked horizontally, I guess it would be worse when you lost one. But they're vertical. And it does play on a pattern. And the thing that gets me about Kaboom is how fast it is.
It's so fast.
Super fast. I mean, the 2600, it is technically running at 60 frames per second. And Kaboom feels like it's running at 60 frames per second. Like, it is just fast. And, sometimes you can get into like, I don't know, you play it, you almost have to get yourself like hypnotized, if that makes sense. So you're sort of in flow with the game. Because if you actually are thinking, like trying to consciously think about playing this game, it's impossible.
Yeah, I'm looking at this video you posted. Oh, it's tool assisted.
It's tool assisted, yeah. So this is a tool assisted run to the maximum possible score. That's why it goes for almost 3 hours. But like about the 5 or 6 minute mark is when the game is going too fast for me to handle it.
I mean, pretty much at the 1 minute mark for me.
Yeah, I mean, because it's a pattern, you can kind of get, like I said, you can kind of get yourself into a mental zone.
Mm-hmm.
But man, this game is so hard. And it's incredibly simple, but it's still like, what's silly is like it's such a super simple game, but you know, it was probably $50 back in the day, but it was totally worth it because it was one of the best 2600 games.
Yeah, I tried playing this on my analog and I couldn't. Like, does it require a paddle?
You can't play with a joystick, no.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you can, but you would just be dead instantly.
Yeah, it was just unplayable for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's on the 2600 is it on the 2600 paddle direct-to-TV thing? Plug and play thing?
But I mean, it's got to be, right?
I own this. I should know. Paddle plug. So this is very exciting, I know. And play. Let me see. Where is that thing? Atari. Yeah. So they sold back in the zeros a 2-play. It had 13 games. This is an Atari paddle with 13 games on it. It was Jack specific, of course. And I'm trying to. I have one of these. This is so stupid. I actually don't think Kaboom is on there because I think it's only Atari licensed games on it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Yeah, it's not on there. Yeah.
How long till Kaboom is released in the theater with Chris Pratt playing the... Would he play the buckets of water or would he play the bad guy? Chris Pratt.
They'd probably cast him as the bad guy and give him like one of those mustaches that you curl, you know?
Yeah.
Something like that. But yeah, it's a very simple but very fun game.
Mm-hmm.
And I sort of hate the game, if that makes sense. You know, it's one of those games you like, but you also hate.
Yeah, because it's hard to get better at it after a certain point. Yeah.
After a certain point, it's just diminishing returns. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, speaking of Atari things, I was at some store and I saw it was like a play set of like a living room with like a little tiny TV, like I don't even think 3-inch screen.
Mm-hmm.
Little tiny TV that played like 4 Atari 2600 games. It was an Atari licensed thing, you know, company that calls themselves Atari licensed it. And it had like Pac-Man, but I'm like, you can't see the screen. This is for like, I want to have a little 70s living room set. Maybe I'll find a link to this.
Maybe if you put it, like if you have a hamster, put it in their cage or something.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, if you want your hamster relieving itself all over your place. Like, yeah. I guess. So what do you think of, so Kaboom, I think I got your impression of Kaboom.
Yeah. Great game. I really couldn't play it this time, but that was my fault. I don't think I have a cart. I don't think I ever owned this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's hard not to buy a box of 2600 games and not get a copy of Kaboom.
Yeah. But I don't think back in the day I actually had this one. I'm trying to think if I had a paddle back in the day. Like, what were some of the bigger paddle games back then for 2600?
Well, there was like Circus Atari.
No, I didn't have that.
No, there was Breakout, of course.
Mm-hmm. Again, I don't think I had that.
You don't think you had Breakout? I mean, Breakout would have been the selling point for the paddle, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Those would be the big ones that you would get it for.
I think the only non-joystick controller I had was the Star Raiders thing. The port to Star Raiders controller.
Okay. Was one of the driving games a paddle game?
Hmm.
I'm looking at the list here from Atari Age. Yeah, Night Driver was a paddle game.
I didn't have that one.
Warlords would have been a big one. Star Wars Jedi Arena. I would not recommend that game, though.
No, I actually do own that game.
Demons to Diamonds. I remember that being kind of popular. That's about it. I mean, there's a lot of other games, but those would be I'm trying to stick to the big ones that maybe you would have played. You probably didn't play Egomania, for example.
No. Wow, there's a lot of paddles on eBay for sale.
Yeah, they're pretty common, and I think there were probably knockoffs made at the same time too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, all right, what are you going to play next?
Since I got this analog pocket, I'm going to go into my Game Boy backlog, and I'm going to do Donkey Kong Land.
Nice. I'm going to do, since we just talked about it, Strider on NES. Not Genesis. Not.
Yes, thank you for that, because I do not like Genesis version.
No, it's
Although
like
you can play the arcade version of Strider if you want to play along. I don't really care.
Yeah. But yeah, so if anyone plays Donkey Kong Land, Strider on NES, Kaboom, Arkanoid II, if you're scanning a bunch of game manuals, or if you're, what else are you doing here? You're upgrading Road Rash and porting stuff to the Genesis, please email us. Email at retrogameclub.net. That is email at retrogameclub.net, or hit us up on many of our social sites that Zach manages, and our link tree is on our show notes. And we got some good feedback this week.
Yeah, I'll start off here. Eric from the Pacific Northwest. So apparently you've been catching up. Really enjoyed the show about Australia. He said he follows a lot of like PC groups on Facebook, and it seems like there's a lot of action and interest in PC buying and selling in Australia. He mentions he did have a Sega CD. He found one at a yard sale for $20 and then sold it for $100. And sees them at conventions all the time for about $180, and they sell out usually in a couple minutes.
It just sounds about right.
That sounds about right. Portland Retro Gaming Expo. He sent us a bunch of pictures. So we could see some of the prices. There's a big Sega Saturn exhibit this year, and the voice of NBA Jam was there. Also, the creators of Diablo.
Cool.
I'm sorry, I'm skipping right ahead to these photos, man. There is like there's a table of like Saturn hardware variants, which is pretty cool. The table set up with the game rooms looks kind of like Midwest Gaming Classic. And then signed Diablo, like you get the creators of Diablo to sign your what are those called? Pop vinyls?
Yeah, Funko Pop.
Things?
Yeah.
Funko Pops, that's it, yeah. And then, people selling Magic Knight Ray Earth for $1,200. That was the last Sega Saturn game ever made.
And then what's under that? I gotta zoom in on this photo. The one with like stereo
the
equipment?
weird Sega hardware. It looks like a Sega amplifier. Probably something they made in Japan.
I'm probably going to ruin our show notes right now. I'm zooming in.
Okay. Well, oh yeah, that's weird.
Sega yeah, it's a Sega amplifier. Okay, we're Googling this too.
Yeah, so Sega must have made a home audio system, but in Japan only.
Yeah, it is. Just a Sega branded amplifier for karaoke machines. So that must be. Yeah, that looks like a karaoke machine, right? That's what that could be.
Could be, yeah. I mean, home karaoke machines, I assume, are more popular in Japan than the U.S.
It has a Saturn controller plugged into it. And let's see. So Eric, thank you so much for those. Unless did you miss any of that email? Skipping down?
I may have, but I think I got the
okay.
the important points.
And Jody writes us saying, because Zach asked what our greatest retro achievements were. And one of Jody's was going back after 20 years and finally finishing Dragon Warrior 1 and 2 for the NES. As a little kid, he could never beat Dragon Lord. And he never got as far in 2 as a teen. But loved those 2 games anyway. And he just beat the first one. And this year he finished the second one. So about to get through the third one, so that's awesome.
Let's see. Majors writes in talking about the Analog Pocket Links TG adapters, mentioning that they're going to be sold. Looks like they're going to be sold as a 3-pack for $100 instead of $30 a piece, like Game Gear. Which I guess they're. I sort of would rather get them all at once. I don't love that they're $100 when an individual one is $30. Not that it's a huge price difference, but whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and he speculates that the upside down Atari cards maybe could be a huge collectible, like that one rare upside down stamp that was from the 1920s. I doubt it. Paddle games. He says enjoys Kaboom and runs it every year at a local convention. And there's at least one attendee that always asks for Kaboom when they have a paddle exhibit. As for Revenge of Dough, he could not get far into it because he doesn't have a paddle for his setup. Like you mentioned, if you're playing on an emulator, if you don't have a paddle, it's pretty hard. He does have the Sega Mark III paddle and played Woody Pop as an alternative.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, I played it at a convention also. It's close to a classic Taito paddle game, the closest you'll get on the Master System at least. There's also a Game Gear version, but how are you going to play it on Game Gear anyways? If you enjoy paddle games, there's also Megumi Rescue on the Master System, and an arcade version that is now emulated on Mister. Personal greatest achievement related to retro gaming. He was able to help Klaus at Team Europe develop and release a new multi-cart for the Bandai Supervision 8000. It's an uncommon and mostly forgotten console from Japan, but he was happy to assist with getting it out for the 10 or so people that own it.
Yeah, very cool. It kind of looks like an Intellivision.
It does, yeah. Looks a lot like an Intellivision.
Yeah, I'd never heard of that one. That's cool.
Social media. I guess that's still around.
Oh, yeah, I answered Zach's question first.
Yes.
My greatest achievement in retro gaming was beating King's Quest 3 through 6, Fester's Quest, and Blaster Master, all right when the games came out, so I was pretty young.
Yeah, when I think of some of the NES games that I got through without hint books, because they didn't exist yet, maybe that's impressive. I don't know. I mean, Metroid, I certainly played through without any help at all.
Yeah. Well, just like with Zelda, you just burn every bush to see if there's a secret, Metroid, you just bomb every block.
Yeah. Some other contributions we got from people here. Beating Contra on the NES without dying and with no power-ups. Someone mentions beating the hardest version of Ghouls and Ghosts without dying.
That is crazy.
He watched his wife finish Super Mario World 100% while he drank beer. That's fine. One credit clear of Radiant Silver Gun on the Saturn.
That's crazy.
That is hard, yeah. Finally beating Mike Tyson just a week ago in the game. He's been playing it regularly since he was 7. He's 41 now, and finally got a TKO in round 3.
Nice.
I've never beat Mike Tyson.
It's very hard.
Emulator. Yeah, with a lot of save state help. That's about it. His first ever 100% Grandmaster on every level of Tenchu Stealth Assassins on PS1. Another one, completing X-Wing by destroying the Death Star recently after starting it in 1995.
Yeah, I wonder if that was the same save, going that whole time.
Maybe. Beating NES Adventure Island. 92% on Super Mario World 2 Advanced because one stage, I guess I have this game. I don't know what stage he's talking about. It says is unbeatable. Getting the U.S. world record speed run on the PlayStation Network port of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis.
Cool.
Finding a Nintendo TV games console. That's hard to do. And then feedback on some other stuff. Someone chimes in on Arkanoid II. He's very disappointed that games like this, Tempest and Warlords, don't have good USB spinner support. So they're very hard to play today. Kaboom, feedback is just that people love it. Which I agree with. Atari shipping cartridges with upside down PCBs. One of the things someone notes, the prices of these games were astronomical. So you can buy a Harmony flash card for much, much less, and the reverse PCB is just appalling.
Yeah.
Especially, again, considering they are super expensive. Someone says, I bought Yars Return and received it, but hadn't opened it. They sent another card and some extras with an apology a month later and didn't know why until they heard our show. So that's it. Yeah, I speculate a lot of people buying these weren't really ever planning to play them. So, which is fine. If you want to buy a game just to put on your shelf, I don't really care. But I suspect a lot of people bought these just as collectibles.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That still blows my mind that any of that even happened.
It does not surprise me even a little. It is just for me completely on brand with what the Atari brand is doing today.
It's still crazy to me that the Atari VCS is still a thing. It is so dated, slow software or hardware that it's still being sold, and who would buy this thing?
Well, where do they sell? They don't sell. You're not getting it in a store, right?
I don't know. They're still for sale though, and they're still coming out for games and stuff with it. So I don't know.
Like GameStop doesn't sell it anymore. They cleared it out, right?
I think.
I seem to remember talking about we had an episode where we found they were clearing it out for just some absurd low price.
Oh, it's at Best Buy.
Okay.
Yeah, you could still get it at Best Buy for $400.
Oh, why would you do that?
$400. That is crazy.
I'm gonna look this up
Wow.
right now, man. I'm fascinated by this.
Wow.
Hold on. So I'm logged into Best Buy. Well, not logged in. I have it set to my local store. Yeah, they're selling it. It's available in my local store. Available for pickup. I can't pick it up. Oh no, so it's not in my store. I can buy it and go to my store in 4 days and get it. So it means it's in a warehouse. But yeah, $400, man. Jeez.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, you could get an Xbox for that.
Yeah, right.
I mean, couldn't you imagine asking your parents for a game console and getting that for Christmas?
Yeah, because your parents, for whatever reason, think they only know Atari.
Yeah,
brand.
Yeah.
They've somehow been oblivious to the past 30 years of game history and are unaware that anyone else makes it, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. So, anything else?
I don't think so. So, yeah, probably the next one we'll do like a holiday read. So, yeah, please email us any suggestions for some catalog reads or anything. Hopefully, they're on archive.org or some easy place to read them. So, that's email at retrogameclub.net. And those Game Club games, again, are Strider and Donkey Kong Land.
Yes.
I think that's it.
Yeah. So, thanks for listening.